Hi there, YouTubers. My dog's here with me in the RV, and what we're going to do is winterize it, just the water part right now. So I'll walk you around the RV and tell you what's what, and then I'll show you how I do it. And it's not necessarily the only way. So got my antifreeze. I don't think I'm going to need a lot of it, so I brought it just in case. You're going to probably need a screwdriver to get to your water heater if it's behind a wall like mine is. And you're going to need wrenches. Now if you have the proper tool to get your plug off of your water heater, that's going to be beneficial. But I don't. I bought one, but apparently mine's so big they don't make that tool, so I have to use one of these wrenches and a little bit of pry bar. Next you're going to need an air compressor. Okay, this is just a little one for me, and we'll tell you about the air compressor later. And if you don't have one, like, you're going to probably need one of these. I don't use this one much. So what I did was I made my own, because it used to be when I was doing this, you couldn't find these made already. But anyway, I made my own, and what it does is garden hose screws on one end, and on the other end you just clip your air hose. Yeah, so your air hose just clips right in here, and then we can blow out all our lines and get rid of the water. Because in the winter, water is your enemy. So the wind, you can probably hear the wind. Anyway, I'm out here in the farmer's field, the RV out here. Things are going to get loud, so I'm just going to tell you what I'm going to do. We don't have power here, so we have to turn on the generator. And then the air compressor's loud, so I'm going to try to fill the air compressor before I talk to you, but you're always going to get that generator running in the background. Sorry about that, but it's a quiet generator, so it shouldn't be too bad. So it's just too windy to, I'm going to just voice over this. So this is where I keep all my hoses and extension cords, all the extra stuff. And I'm going to start with the hoses that I use, the white hoses, for the water from camping. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my green hose there, which is what I got off my neighbor. He was throwing it out in the garbage, so I got it and I cut the end off of it. And I use that as my gray water hose, if it's allowed at the campsite. And I hardly ever do it because I like to keep my gray water. And sometimes you're allowed to use the gray water onto the ground at some campsites, but most no. And I don't really like getting rid of my gray water. I need the gray water to flush out this big hose after the black water's gone. But here I'm going to use this and get the water away from us, because we're going to be emptying all our lines into our sink and tub or shower, and so we want to make sure all that water gets out of there before we add antifreeze. Okay, so there you have it. I'm ready to get started. There's my first hose I'm going to do. And got the adapter already on the end of the hose right there. Let's see if I can zoom in on that. Okay, so it's already on the end of the hose. And I set the gauges. Now, I set the gauges here. This gauge right here, this is how much pressure is in the tank. And this gauge right here, this is how much pressure is coming out of the hose. So what I'm trying to do is simulate water pressure. I don't want to go too high. So I set this between 30-35 pounds PSI to pump out the hose. So now I'm going to show you how that's done quickly. I'm going to turn off the pump because I don't need it coming on while I'm talking to you. But normally it'll come on as soon as the pressure drops. Okay, so this is basically how it's done. You've already got your adapter on your hose. And the other end's going to go squirting like crazy, so you don't want that pointing at you. And just click it on. There it goes. And you can see the gauge dropping really quickly. This hose had no water in it, so I let the water out nicely. And then you just carry on with all your hoses. Right, so you got to take your adapter off.
adapter on. And hopefully there's no kinks. If there's a kink, it might create a little bit of a problem. Just try this again. So there you go. This one's definitely got water in it. A bit of water coming out. Still coming out. There we go. It's coming out now. That's it. That's it for that hose. And that's so that we don't split the hoses. And you just carry on. So you don't want to empty anything like this water filter. Make sure that it gets emptied. With your compressor tool. Take much. You just don't want to crack it. There you go. Done. So when we go to a campsite and we have water, this is where we hook up to. This fills the tank up, and this rinses the black water tank so that all your gauges will read empty. And this is where the black water, gray water comes out of. And what I've done is on the end, we bought this because it had this little garden hose attachment on it. So what I can do is remove that. I can connect onto that hose I told you about I got from my neighbor. Okay. Then what I do is I connect this up to the city water. And you connect up your air compressor. If there's any taps on, or if there's any taps on inside, there's water coming out. Okay. Idea. Here's your cold water. See, we have air going in, water coming out. And you can see, like I told you, the filter's draining out. It's not going to stay. So what you want to do is, we're basically going to do this to everything inside the RV. Make sure all the water is gone out of everything. This is another access port you're going to need to do for water. You have to find your water pump because you may have to deal with that. So here we have some access ports, and they go in behind here to the water pump. There's some valves in there. My propane, we're not going to talk about that. So this here, I took the cap off of this and I drove about 10-20 minutes with the cap off. And this is the drain for your water tank. And the reason I drive around with it is because it splashes around and a lot of water is going to come out that tube. This is like an overflow, so we got netting on the end of it so nothing crawls up in there, no bees or anything over there. And it's like a vent, so as you take air out of the tank, you need to put air in, right? So it sucks the air in there, and it acts as an overflow. And this is connected to the pump, so you can pump the water out directly. Anyway, right behind here is the water heater. So you just turn this little thing so it lines up in the groove, pull it off. It comes off these two little stems. And my hose outside, I let out the hot water pressure. I don't want any pressure in here at all. Should have a little switch here. And what we do is we leave this switch off when we're keeping our camper at someone's house and they're letting us plug into their hydro so we can keep our fridge going. So I'll just turn that off right now. We don't need it on. I'll remember in the spring. You can also do it from inside. It's not important for the water. What is important is this thing right here. And I did try to buy the right tool. Just, I guess it must be hard to find or something. So what I'm going to do is take this off, and the water is going to come gushing out, running right down the side of my RV. And that's why I got this and an adjustable. So I placed the adjustable on there, put this through, and just undo it. You want to keep in mind that, especially if you go to campsites with hard water, it gets a lot of calcium buildup. So it might not be easy. Okay, and I can see it's starting to leak out now. I'm going to pick something that's going to go a little quicker. Slip joint pliers. And I think this is a 5-gallon tank, so that entire contents of that water is going to come gushing out. And I did turn my propane off yesterday, and the switch inside the RV for the whole water tank propane has been off like for a week. So you don't want this thing coming on when your water is empty, you're going to melt it down. Then you got to buy a new tank. Probably another reason I shut the power off too is I don't need, because my generator's running, to start heating up the water. So you want to make sure that's off. Just safety stuff, right? Wow. I guess I should have let the water out of all the hoses in the RV, hot water. So now I'm totally soaking wet. Anyway, that was funny. Okay, so what I've done here is my hot water tank is behind this door, and I had to take a little wooden cap off, and then the screw's exposed. Use a screwdriver. This opens up. Now, whether your water tank's under your sink or whatever, good thing to do if you're new at this is to take photos. Okay, so you're going to want to take some photos of that valve back there, this valve, and this valve here. Alright, just so that you know the positioning of the valves. So in the spring you can put them back, but here's how it works. Cold water comes in through here. We're going to shut that off because this is emptying right now. Okay? So, as you saw, my water tank's still open and the water is gushing outside. Next, I can shut off the hot water right here because this line is all drained out into the tank now. And then you put your bypass on because you want the air to not go into these lines. So basically we're bypassing the whole water tank. So now the air is going going to go straight through the lines. Okay, and you can hear my air compressor, and it's charging up. So this is me trying to dry my sweater off. I got the generator going. Of course, the dog always wants to be in the picture. Okay, so what I like to start with is the shower. I'm going to just take this off of here, drop it on the ground. Okay, and then I'm just going to turn on either one, hot or cold. And there you go, see the water coming out. Close this up a bit. Okay, so you see it's just pretty much air now. So that's about it. I'll shut that off. And that'll be it for the hot. So what I want to do is go around and do all the hots first. I'll let the air pressure build up again. In the bathroom we have our sink, hot water side. Drain that out. And that one's done. And then we have 2 sinks in our bathroom, so. That one's done. And then we can go over to the kitchen and do the hot side. And that's it. Hots are done. Okay, back to the shower again. We're going to turn on the cold. And there she goes. Spraying out nicely. And then when you see mostly air, it's done. Okay, that's done. And then you can wait for the charge on the air compressor to build up again. Okay, so now we're ready to do the sinks. Cold aside. There we go. Just let that empty out. And then the other one. And then we'll go to the sink, cold side. Okay, it's pretty much gone. Now we'll let the compressor build up again. And then we gotta do the toilet. Okay, so before you close all this up again, you want to go to your water tank. And it's a good idea to open up the cold. And it's going to let any of the water that's remaining in any of the lines to go right through the water tank and out that hole that we just opened up. You can hear the water gushing out. Okay, so I'm going to let that do that for a while. I'll close it up, I'll come back and do it again. But I still want to get my toilet done, so I'm going to let the pressure build up a little bit. So that valve I just opened, all the water came gushing out, came right out this hole. Right, so that's okay. And now we're going to go to the gray tank. Right, because this here is letting in the air pressure into the system. And I'm going to open up the gray side only. I'm not going to touch the black side. Just the gray side. And there you go. That's the water we just dumped into the sinks and stuff. It's going down this green hose and it's come out the other end. Okay, so here we are at the toilet. We're just going to press the handle there until all the water comes out. That's it. We are pretty near almost done. I'm just going to double check this cold line again. Okay, so what I've done is I leveled out the RV. Now I know that this tube is at this corner of the tank, so having the RV leaning forward a little bit was good to empty it out. This one here, I'm just going to open it up and see if there's any water comes out. But normally I have to have the water pump inside the RV on for the water to come out of here. So there's a cap. That's water from the air compressor, or from the water pump. And I'm still getting water inside my heater. So I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait and let the compressor fill up again. So I have two of these covers. And what these covers do is they allow access. They're access covers. And in this particular cover, there's this valve that you need to move to turn, and there's a hose. And so what you do is you pull out the hose. All of the hose. So you have this hose and a cap on it. And what you do with this hose is you stick it inside your antifreeze bottle without the cap. Okay? And then there's a redirection valve in here. And what you do is just flip over this redirection valve and it's going to take the water from this hose and not from the tank. Okay, we're going to do that just to make sure that So I'm going to show you that valve. Let's see if I can see it here. You can see it with the naked eye, but it's hard to do with the camera. There it is right there. That's the valve you're going to flip over.
Okay, so the wind is too strong right now, so I got the antifreeze out and we've got our lines ready to go. And what you would do is if you didn't have an air compressor, you could just shove that hose into the antifreeze and you could move over the crossover valve and turn on your water pump inside and then just pull the antifreeze right up through that hose into the lines inside the RV. But right now what we're going to do is we're going to just make sure that the water pump is full of this antifreeze, because I really want to make sure my water pump doesn't freeze. It's very expensive to replace and it's hard to replace. So, and I'm going to probably just do the bottom lines of my RV right to the water heater, not necessarily all the lines that go to each tap.
And the water pump's going right now. So if I open this up, I should get some heat coming out. Well, I'm going to switch this valve over. There you go, you can hear it sucking it up. It should be coming out soon. There it is. You shut that off. And that's how you would do it. You go around and do all your valves. The only one I might do right now is is that water tank, the hot water tank on the cold valve in the water tank, just to get some of this solution into the bottom of the hot water tank. But I don't need to do it for all my taps and everything like that. So. Okay, now I'm going inside and I'm going to flip the cold side over and wait for some glycol to come down the hose. Water pump's on, the hose is in the antifreeze solution, and what I'm going to do is open this up. And I'm hoping, well, I know it's going to pull the antifreeze solution up. Okay, there it is, going pink right now, and it's going into the water tank. So if that's your only concern like me, I just wanted to make sure my water pump had some glycol and the bottom lines. So that's it. I'll just shut this off and it won't go anywhere else. There you go. As long as I don't touch any taps, it won't go anywhere. There you go, it's all pink here now. So we're ready to put this back on. A couple of turns. Put this back up. Okay, you see how much solution we use just for the one line to the water heater. And this is full now, and we filled up all these lines too, and the water filter. So I think I'm just going to leave the water filter the way it is right now. It's not going to hurt it. It is antifreeze, but if I wanted to, I could just empty it all out. You know, I don't know that much about antifreeze, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't freeze. That's why it's called antifreeze. So you see all my lowest lines are all full of pink, which is cool. And next year I'll throw that filter out, I'll just put a new filter in anyway. Okay, now we just got to put everything back together. And I'm going to pull that hose off of there. Pull this hose off, close this back up, right? And so what's going to happen now is we're going to go inside and we're going to fill the drains with antifreeze. And we're going to have to pump out this hose as well. So there we are. This is all done. Okay, so the last thing I think I want to do, just to make sure, freshwater tank, I want to make sure that's emptied out. Sounds like it is. And then I'm going to do the black tank flush. I want to make sure those lines are clear. Okay, I'm sure they're clear. And I always leave my elbow on. Okay, so all that's left now is to put some of this stuff, the antifreeze, right down the drain. And we want to get the trap full of antifreeze, so we don't split any of those pipes. Okay, just in case you don't know what a trap is, that's the trap under the sink. So you can imagine it probably holds maybe a cup and a half of water. Just that U shape, that's it, that's all we're worried about. So we're going to try to put the water in there, or the glycol in there, to stop the water from freezing and splitting the pipe open. So here we are. Oh, I'm going to do the first sink here. It looks like you're looking at me in the mirror, but you're probably not. So I'm going to pour a little bit of glycol in the sink. There you go. I think that's about a cup and a half. And I'll do the other sink as well. Okay, that's done. And now we gotta do the shower. So anyway, I just dumped a bunch of this stuff right in the shower, and you should be generous because you want some of this to go in your gray water tank. Okay, so now we're gonna do the toilet, and you do want a lot in the toilet because the black water, you're gonna want this to mix around with that. Right, because I don't care how good you are cleaning out your black water tank, I think there's always going to be some residual stuff left over. So I just press the lever here, and you can see some pink solutions coming up because we have some pressure in the line still, even though the water pump's off. There are these ballast tanks in there, like they're little rubber. Well, they have tanks with rubber in them, and what it does is it evens out the pressure. So what I'm going to do is just put some of this in the toilet. Like that. Let that go. Okay, and I don't know, if I got some left over at the end, I might add some more. So just let this slam shut, and then add some on top, and it should keep it. That's the way you should see it in the spring. And then we're going to put some, about 1.5 cups again. And the other one. And that's it. We're all done. So anyway, that's it for winterizing the RV water-wise. We still have more to do to winterize this thing. Still got to put our tire covers on. I know Maggie, she wants to do something. And then we have to get the batteries out, put them in the shed, and put them on like a trickle charge. So they're all winter long, they're getting trickle charged. And I'll make a video of that too. And we're gonna have to do some winterization, I think, on the slide outs. Okay, and and we're gonna do some you know, lubricating the levelers. So I'll make a video on all that for you. Hopefully it doesn't get too cold. The reason I did this today is because tomorrow it's supposed to be really cold, and that's the day I wanted to do it. But anyway, things change. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hope it helps you out. Again, if you don't have an air compressor, you could just use the hose. Stick it into the glycol solution, put the pump, flip the lever over, put the pump on, and come to each tap separately, one at a time, until it starts gushing out. And then you don't have to do the last stage where you have to fill up the traps, because they'll be full, because you'll be seeing it coming out of the taps. But you're still going to have to dump some of this down in your sewer drain and your gray tank. So anyway, I think it's super simple, and why you have to pay somebody like 150 bucks to do it. I had to do it a couple of times because I was working and I was away from home, so I wasn't going to let my wife do it. So you know, I'm the mechanical kind of guy, so I had hired somebody to do it. And that's fine, they do a good job. And you get peace of mind when you hire somebody to do it, because if they screw up and your water pump is busted or your lines are cracked, then, you know, they have to fix it, right? So it's up to you. You saw how easy it was. You just take your time, do one at a time. And now I'm just going to close up my hot water tank cover and get the slide outs in, put the heaters away, and go home and edit this video.